Hi, Carolyn Shavino here. What's happening in the world of work, Aurora? Today, my guest is a John Maxwell coach. Amazing man. And his business is called Raise Your Lid. His name is Rob Hines. Rob Hines, welcome to What's Happening in the World of Work.
Carolyn, I'm so inspired to be here.
Good.
And
I'm inspired by you.
I have to thank you for all the work you do, not only with the Aurora community, but all the communities and the people you serve. We need more people like you. So I'm honored to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Wow. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. I always start out the show, Rob, by asking people, I know you are a John Maxwell coach, and you've actually gone beyond the certification that we share. I know that for a fact. But I'd like to know, where did you begin in your work? Like, where did you start? Were you always in leadership?
I don't know if I would always call it leadership.
Okay.
But I always had tendencies to where I wanted to help people.
Yeah.
And as I started to grow confidence,
Yeah.
I wanted to step in and help people, whether it's processes. So I guess you would think that that's part of the leadership journey. However, the one thing I needed to make sure of was that I was leading myself.
Ooh.
And that was one of the biggest parts of the discovery.
That's key.
And that needs to come first.
Yes, you can't.
Otherwise, the
other
other things are difficult.
Yes, I agree with you. There's a course that I recently took, and it's called Soul Care. I coach at a local shelter, and the reason why I took the course is because you can't help anyone else unless you can identify the things within that need to be shaped differently, I'd like to say, right? Yeah. So it's the same with leading, and I love that you put it that way. So what inspired you to pursue leadership consulting? There's so many different, worlds of work out there. Why leadership consulting?
Because it's one of the greatest ways to multiply other leaders.
Yes.
It's a great way not only to give back and to share information and to even teach things. Yeah. However, when you could get people to also move forward, learn, grow, build, and then teach others, that's the beautiful multiplication process. And leadership is one of the best avenues to take for that.
I agree with you. How would you define great leadership in today's world?
Well, today's world,
yeah.
Great leadership, you must be about others, which means you have to do one of the toughest human skills that there is. You have to be a really good listener and ask purposeful questions.
Okay.
You have to be curious.
Okay.
And I say you have to. You don't have to, but in order for great leadership to be part of it, those are some very, very key components that get left to the wayside. Some people think it's about telling others, telling people what to do, or telling people how they should act. Really, they could find out the gold within themselves if you ask the right questions and you listen attentively.
The gold within themselves. That is paramount. I'm going to steal that, right?
Please.
All right.
There's no trademarks on any of this, Carolyn.
I am serious, though. The gold within yourself, that's beautiful. And thank you for that, Rob.
You're welcome.
What was the pivotal moment that shaped your leadership philosophy? I mean, I know that for a fact, as a John Maxwell coach, I started off over here, and I'd like to think through developing myself and continuous learning that I'm at a different level. How about you?
Yes. Because there are different types of leadership, different avenues you could take to leadership.
Yeah.
I've always leaned more toward the servant leadership. However, back in the day, it was almost to a detriment because it was a lot of people pleasing.
Yes.
Where I learned that it really wasn't good leadership to be a people pleaser.
Right.
Could you be a people grower?
Ooh.
Could you be a people developer? And again, it starts with looking in the mirror. I had to make sure that I continued to develop myself and raise your lid.
Yes.
There's no lid on your potential.
Yes.
So even when you think you're way here, there's something else. There's something more.
I love that. Yeah. And hence the name Raise Your Lid. And we all need to. In one of John Maxwell's 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, he talks about the law of the lid, and he brings out the story of the McDonald brothers and when they sold their, McDonald's, and here comes Ray Kroc, and he has this vision, but he kept on growing it. He kept on diversifying. And what you're saying is we need to do the same.
Absolutely. We could easily stay in our lane. We don't have to.
Right.
But there's no growth in that, just like there's no growth unless there's uncomfortability.
Yeah, and there's no fun in that.
I don't think so.
No, it's kind of like sitting in a chair and going, what's next on TV? Right?
Well, if we look back, I know you and I aren't old enough, but if we look back 20 years ago when we were babies.
I take you are not, but go ahead. Thank you for the compliment.
When we look back 20 years ago, do I want to be that same person?
Yeah.
Some of it qualifies. Some of it's a yes. A lot of it's a no. But it was just life transition.
Right.
If you're just comfortable being on the same path, you may get by, but that's going to be it.
I agree. I totally agree. How do you help leaders navigate during uncertainty or crisis? And I know obviously one of the major ones we recently got out of was COVID. Mm-hmm. And during that time, how did you help when people were pretty much having to let people go in the work environment and seeing people ill, and just the unfortunate fear that it took over a lot of people?
There's a few components to that. The first is it always seems that letting people know that they're not alone in what they're feeling, that's normally a good starting point.
Okay.
Then from there, it said, okay, we need to ask the real questions. Is this going to be forever? Okay. Most things not.
Right.
We do know that things like death are certain. Right. However, everything else, we don't know how long things are going to last. So either do we pursue through it? Do we persist?
Right.
Do we become more resilient, or do we fold and hide and wait for that light to pop back out, and we either do or don't do anything about it? So those are a couple of the components, and then just getting people to see that everybody has an ability to do better, be better. I say that in a lot of my courses. Do better, be better.
Love it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's small wins, great. If it's big wins, great. Take a step.
Right.
A lot of people say, well, just take risks, throw it out there. Yes and no. You don't want to just throw it out there. You could I always encourage people to take calculated risks.
Oh.
It's a little bit more of a sturdy avenue.
Yeah.
Than just throwing everything against a wall. Plus, throwing everything against a wall is pretty exhausting.
I would agree.
So those are just a few of the components that I start with when helping leaders through those turbulent times.
Yeah.
And then they have to learn the skills of conflict resolution.
Yes.
Skills of communicating with people of different styles.
Right.
So there's a lot of skills that go along with it and the mindset around it.
Mm-hmm. And what I hear you saying, Rob, is that you helped individuals work through the fears that they may have by reaching in and helping them see the tools and the power that they have within. And one thing that I love about the show is that I like to discuss how people need to be able to empower themselves. For example, you can't just knock on the door or wait for somebody to knock on your door and say, here's a job, here's leadership tools, here's this. You need to go out and you need to be responsible for you. Mm-hmm. Correct?
Correct. One of the things that we see a lot, especially through social channels and because information moves so fast, are our shortcuts. Taking shortcuts. There are certain things you could take shortcuts with, but really anything substantial and sustainable needs hard work, needs discipline, needs dedication. You could do it efficiently and healthy in a healthy way. However, if you're always looking for the shortcut, it may relieve the issue or the pain for the moment, but that's going to be very short-lived.
Right. I totally agree with that. And I think sometimes when people don't invest in themselves, don't read, don't Google, that's my favorite tool, but there's a lot of information.
Yes.
I'm all about AI.
Yes.
Google, all of that, Gemini. Look
Absolutely.
at me. I love it. I mean, you can empower yourself just by asking it questions and getting information. But I guess I want to get into culture and inclusion. When you're out there in training, this is huge with me, especially now primarily in the Aurora market, which has my heart because my business lies here, and my clients, most of my clients as well. How do you, when you are teaching your class, and you are teaching, you are a teacher, how do you include diversity, and the various cultures and how to work together? I think that's so important, Rob.
It is. It's massively important. So initially, I encourage people, let's start with diversity of culture.
Please.
Diversity of culture. You grew up a certain way, I grew up a certain way. The more we could learn about that, the stronger and better we could become, not only in ourselves, but when we deal with others of different cultures.
Right.
So there's the diversity of culture. There's also the diversity of belief. Whether it's a spiritual belief, whether it's a belief in a process, the diversity of different beliefs are so powerful and so important. So getting people to understand the importance of those. And then the one thing that I bring up that I don't hear many people talk about is diversity of thought.
Ooh. Dig deeper with that.
Getting different perspectives on how people think.
Okay.
How people think about themselves, how people think about the world. If you and I are working on a project together, how you perceive this project versus the way I perceive this project. Diversity of thought is massive.
Huge.
I spend a lot of time on diversity of thought. There is a little bit of the culture and the background and the benefits around learning about those things, but diversity of thought, anybody could do that.
Well, I would love to sit and learn about that from you, Rob. No, seriously, this is the first time hearing it. I'll be honest. And I appreciate learning new things very much. So take me to, you're with one of your clients. Okay. And your client says to you, Rob, we have leadership issues here. There's some issues on people getting along. There's some issues on diversity. I am really fed up with how to handle this. I don't know what to do. How first do you assess the problem? And then what would you say or do to provide tools of correction, of solutions?
The first thing I do is I say, welcome to leadership.
Amen.
The idea of leadership is simple and it's not easy.
No.
I say simple, not easy a lot.
Okay.
So I may repeat that throughout our conversation.
That's good.
First thing we have to do is look at their leadership style.
How do you do that?
I guide them that way. I basically ask them questions about themselves, about their leadership style. How are you taking in the information? How does that information make you feel? Okay. When you see these things not going the way you want, what's that doing within yourself? Your body, your mindset? What stories are you telling yourself? What assumptions do you have? And we start to dig there.
Outstanding.
It's way easier just to talk about the people. Okay, let's talk about the people. Why are they screwing around so much? Or why aren't they meeting deadlines? That's the easy part. Yeah. The hardest part of leadership is that good look in the mirror.
Yes.
Where you say,
yes,
am I doing this? And at what level am I doing this?
And
that's the first part of it.
I'd love for you to break that down. It's going into certain, institutions that contract you and your wonderful consulting business.
Thank you.
The thing of that is, how do you get top leaders to really want to look in the mirror? Because many times situations are happening in that work environment because they're unwilling to look at themselves in the mirror. So if they're unwilling, do you understand that you're wasting your time and just move on? Or how do you handle that?
I'm very, very intentional and very, very specific about my ideal client.
Okay.
The ideal client, whether they're comfortable with it or not, they have to be willing to be open to perspective without being defensive.
Okay.
Now they could be defensive with me and we'll have the discussion or the debate. However, when we have, and you've seen this a lot in your career, we see leaders who just want from everybody outside of them to get on board. And when we get a leader that's really, really stubborn about that look in the mirror, I just let them know we're not going to be able to move any further until we do that.
Okay.
And you have to look at yourself honestly.
Yeah.
I could help you and I could give you an assessment. However, if you're not honest with yourself about this, chances are things are going to keep going the way they're going and most likely diminish, especially if that's a major challenge.
And that's what I love about your company.
Thank you.
Because of the fact that you're not in there just to get the contract. Nope. You're setting strict guidelines because you know where it has to begin. And if it isn't beginning there, it's a waste of your time.
Well, one of the things I help clients with are things like real core values.
Yeah.
Not just the stuff you put up on your website or, you paint on your wall or you put in your company newsletter, the things you really believe in. And I know we've done homework on each other: courage, growth, and leadership.
Yes.
Those are my 3 non-negotiables with anybody, anywhere in my life, including myself.
Yeah.
They're the things I help people with, and they're the things I walk the talk on. So once I help them decide, who are you really? Who is this company? What do you really want it to be? Now we could start to establish some guidelines.
Okay.
There's people that want to be super strict about things.
Yeah.
They use that word strict. Well, I say be stern in your guidelines, be stern in your values, be flexible in your approach. And that's when the people come in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because I may be able to be stern with you. You and I could have, we could be both D's on disc and, be very, very stern with each other. However, somebody else may not absorb it that way.
Right. And so take offense to it.
I still need to stand by
because of that.
Yeah, I still need to stand by my values, Carolyn.
Yes.
However, I need to adapt my communication accordingly. So be stern in your values, be flexible in your approach is one of the things where I get even the most stubborn to at least kind of see it.
Okay.
But you're right. If they're not at that point, I let them know, listen, I'd be happy to refer you to somebody else, or I'd be happy to give you some resources. I'm not a good investment for you.
I respect that so much.
Yeah.
Definitely. The world in which we live right now, I think, has a lot of work to do in that top layer of leadership. I say that because there are so many people leaving the work environment. I see that in my industry, okay? I think I talked about this last week a bit where, it breaks my heart when I see an individual with so many skills, whether it be in light industrial manufacturing, office, C-suite, and they're leaving. And I ask, why are you leaving? And they say to me, because I don't feel like I have a voice. I don't feel like I'm invested in any longer. So this is where training your top leaders and not hesitating to tell them the truth will really help invest in their employees that are truly walking out the door, leaving huge voids of talent to be recovered in those places that they left. So we were talking earlier, Rob, about the generation that I absolutely love, and that's millennials and those after the millennials. I truly, truly do. I feel like there's so much talent there. There's so much brightness, and yet they're choosing not to work in an environment for the most part. You're in there. You're in there with these big companies. What do you do? How do we solve this issue? How do we keep that talent? We need our youth. We need them desperately.
They're quickly, the millennial and the Gen Z, those generations, however people want to box that up, that's going to be the majority of our workforce.
Yes.
Within the decade, most likely. So in that case, if those are going to be the people in the workforce and running these companies and that sort of thing, how do we set them up for success?
Amen.
Even if we're reluctant, that sort of thing, we know that this is coming.
Yes.
It's not a surprise that people move on.
And don't you think there's an arrogance about not investing in folks that are going to be in your spot should they want to be? I find it to be arrogant. I find it to be like what you're saying to me is nobody can do your job but you.
I agree. Arrogance is part of it. And also what I've learned is there's a lot of fear. And actually before the show, you and I had a great conversation about this where we talked about, the fear of somebody actually rising up and maybe even doing better than you.
Isn't that the whole idea?
That's the goal.
Watch them fly.
My goal as a leader is to see everybody surpass that I've been able to serve.
Amen.
If not, man, I don't think I did my job. In fact, I know I didn't do my job.
Right.
If I don't help people to grow and flourish and find their way, it ends with me.
Right.
When my time comes to be in the dirt or wherever, what legacy am I leaving behind? And I know people talk about legacy all the time. But how do you think legacy moves on?
Amen.
It's these people you're complaining about that where this legacy lies.
It makes no sense.
Help them.
Exactly.
Help them.
I get it.
Yes.
I love this show right now so much. I do.
This is fantastic.
I love it because we're on the same page, and I hope that when this is posted and businesses are listening to this, it sparks something. Mm-hmm. If nothing else, just a thought of, let me listen to this again. And maybe going back and seeing what's happening in their work environment and hoping that they can, implement something a little different, a little more supportive of people. Tell me about Raise Your Lid and the up-and-coming events that you are going to be training on. I find that so fascinating. I've been a coach for a long time, Rob, and I'll tell you, I was looking at your platform going, man, I'm going to learn from this guy.
Oh, thank you.
Seriously.
That's very, especially from somebody like you coming from your background and a lot of, the same training that we've had in the past and that sort of thing. That means a lot to me, Carolyn. I appreciate that.
You have a great take on it, though.
Well, what I've learned and continue to learn is there's a lot of programs out there.
Yeah.
Most of them are on the surface level, and some of them, like some of the more traditional things like SMART goals and that sort of thing, there's a lot to learn, a lot to do around those. What I really found very successful in a fast-moving world is how do I keep things simple and easily actionable or applicable?
Smart. Love it.
So I have big programs that I teach, full day workshops, half day workshops, 2 days, all of those things. What I learned was if I could break each of those down into small components and just start to share small components, it's more digestible to people. Because I don't know if we talked about it on the show, but I know we talked about it ahead of time. The whole goldfish thing. We have 7 seconds of attention span or less for certain things. Okay. And, with our short attention spans due to technology and how fast information moves, how do I keep this simple for people and impactful, applicable? So I created these micro learning programs, which take my big programs and it cuts them up into sections so people could just get a little taste and walk away with something that they could use immediately.
Brilliant. What are some of the topics you cover?
Oof, there's so many. I'll start from the most requested or the most popular.
Please.
Emotional intelligence and social intelligence, which most people don't hear about. Both of those have been the top requested, rightfully so. How do we handle our emotions?
Right.
How do we build empathy? How do we, develop relationships through rapport? Then there's things like time and mind management.
Mm-hmm.
I call it mind management because we all have the same amount of time. It's just how we invest or misinvest it.
Okay.
Communication is my heart. Everything for me revolves around communication and leadership.
Agreed.
Those are my top 2 tiers. So I have multiple programs for communication, whether it's creating a craft talk on how to talk about your business,
mm-hmm.
if you're in a networking group or pitching investors, coming up with a great 30 or 60 second pitch. I've got micro-learning programs around that.
Give me a pitch about Raise Your Lid. I'm in a networking. I'm going to put you on the spot. You understand?
Excellent.
So,
all right,
I'm networking with you right now. I love to give examples to our audience. So, what's your pitch?
Well, Carolyn, at some point in your life, have you felt stuck either personally or professionally?
Of course.
Yeah. By the way, my name's Rob. The name of my company is Raise Your Lid Consulting. I actually help unlock and unleash the potential in people in their businesses, and I do it 3 ways. I do it through personal and professional coaching services. I do it through developmental training programs, and I also do it through short speaking events. You could schedule a complimentary consultation with me on my website at coachingforsmallbusinesses.com.
And you know what really, I think, gravitated to me was your passion when you told me about your business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't just like da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Your eyes, your whole body language, you lit up. So right in there, maybe because learned to, I love to read people, mostly their eyes. That in itself, just so you know, to me, connected.
Thank you.
Because I thought, here's a person that truly believes in his business.
And that's it too. When you meet somebody and they say, I sell insurance.
Right.
I know insurance is boring. And right away they downplay what they're doing.
Right.
You even notice in that body language and everything, it's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's like, are you hiding something?
Yeah. And fortunately for me, I'm so grateful. Fortunately for me, I'm doing what I was made to do.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. So that passion, that's who I am on the daily basis. You get that with me, whether it's on your show or out in the street.
Absolutely. I know.
It's the same.
I agree.
I also understand that most people aren't like that.
Right.
Most people do a job that maybe they like.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they love it. Maybe they're passionate about it. Or maybe they have a company and the company's really drilling them down and they're overwhelmed and leaning toward burnout. Yeah. So they have that lack of energy. However, when you make those introductions, all of this matters.
Right.
The face,
Yes.
Much like you, I love reading people.
Yeah.
I love reading people. I love reading a room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that makes a great leader. It truly does.
It helps.
Because you can identify, somebody that may be shutting down with what you're saying, and you can, pivot and do all kinds of great things. But I want to ask you, what is the most transformative outcome that you've had working with either an individual or a company that stays with you like, yes, I changed lives here? The most important one that you gravitate toward to just kind of energize yourself when something doesn't work?
Can I give you 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
I'm going to give you one with an individual and then one with a company.
Okay.
This individual was at their last straw. In fact, they were taking every penny they had and investing it in whatever they could to hope that would change their mindset.
Oh, wow.
Instead of them taking the steps to change their mindset. I was able to take this person from, I'll say, suicidal.
Oh.
deep, dark thoughts, very fixed mindset.
Yeah.
All of the qualities you look at when you say that person is in despair. And over a period of almost 18 months, the mindset started to shift, which meant those optimistic pieces were starting to show more in their life. Whereas before, by being totally pessimistic, that's what you're going to see.
Yes.
So just from those things, they were able to start with a company, build some rapport with a new network of people, you know, not completely ditch their old network of people, but the people you surround yourself with.
Agreed.
So upgrading that. And today, this person's absolutely flourishing. They're actually going to open their own business in the next 2 years.
Outstanding.
That's the goal for this person.
Outstanding. Well, you are what you think.
That's it.
That is
all starts with thinking.
Yes. And company-wise?
Company-wise, I had several clients that were basically ready to close their business, and they just wanted me to help them. How do I close my business? And I said, well, let's explore. Do you want to? And most of the time they don't want to. It just comes down to they're ground down to the bone. Finances are terrible. Okay, so let's see if there's a way we could pivot, which 2020 was a catalyst.
Yes, so am I. Yes.
You either pivoted or you're one of the people that are still struggling.
Correct.
Yeah. So in these cases, it's taking people that feel that they're at the end of the road. We're able to rethink, repivot, and flourishing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I want you to leave us with a couple of things, Rob. I want you to leave us with resources that you would recommend for people who are looking to continue to grow, to find out their leadership style, just to really embrace the whole idea of leading versus managing.
Ooh.
What would you recommend? Just a couple things. I know there's a plethora out there,
yes,
but what would you recommend?
That's such a pointed question. So if it's on leadership, I would say there are 3 books in progression that you could use in leadership.
Okay.
The first one is Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck.
Okay.
Fixed versus growth mindset. Has to start with that. Then it goes to your thinking. So Thinking for a Change by Dr. John Maxwell.
Of course.
And, you know, of all the leadership books that are fantastic, I always go back to the classic, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell.
Yes.
And it, you know, there's just so much little and big bits of gold in there.
Yes.
When I get, like you're pinning me down, there's a plethora of things we could be talking about, podcasts and books. And by the way, I have my live reading list on my website that people could look up 24 hours a day, and it's by category.
I love it.
So if you want to look up books on leadership, they're there. If you want to look up books on mindset, emotional intelligence, they're all there.
I love it.
Yeah.
One thing that I would like to add is Ken Blanchard.
Oh.
Ken Blanchard is an amazing author. He is, in my opinion, the father of servant leadership. So if you've not heard of Ken Blanchard, I would highly recommend reading some of his books. He's got YouTube videos out there that are amazing, very inspiring on servant leadership, because I know you touched on servant leadership a little earlier. How do people find you?
The easiest way is to find me on my website, which is coachingforsmallbusinesses.com, coachingforsmallbusinesses.com. You could find me on Instagram at rob.raiseyourlidconsulting.
I love that.
You could find me on LinkedIn at robhines-raiseyourlidconsulting. You could also find me on Facebook at Raise Your Lid Consulting.
Well, I think we've covered it for sure. I definitely know and want to thank Rob for his leadership in this community and all he does to help raise the lid on many, I think, people, raising our lid, because it has to start with us. Let's face it. And when we could raise our lid We help companies in the areas where raise their lid, which helps our workforce. And that's the purpose of the show. I can't tell you enough. I can't explain it. The city of Aurora is just so dear to my heart. And there's so many companies here that are amazing. Small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large businesses. And I just want us all to partner together and give back to each other, not just to make a profit, but to embrace each other as human beings and empower each other to help each other grow. Because if we help each other grow, our businesses will flourish. It has to be upside down. The people have to come first. They have to come first. Rob Hines, I just want to thank you so much for your vision. I want to thank you for your belief, most importantly. And I want to thank you for really walking the walk.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. It's an honor. I thought this was a great conversation. I truly enjoyed it.
Me too.
I'm grateful for the opportunity.
So I'm going to ask you, would you come back?
I'll come back anytime you want.
All right.
Anytime you want. Oh. And it's up to the viewers and listeners out there, you know, if there's more you want to hear in this conversation, because Carolyn and I, we have a lot that we could add value to others.
I agree. And I love the team approach because it's two different perspectives, yet in unison, if that makes sense. Because I could tend to be a little bit abstract. That's the musician brain in me. So, you know, I can't help that. That's how I was built.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And one more question. Would you please come and do a workshop for my team?
100%. I'd be honored to.
Thank you.
I can't wait to work with your team.
Thank you.
Yes,
they're great.
You're welcome.
And they're all millennials.
You're welcome. Beautiful.
And I love
beautiful.
them.
The power of people of all generations.
Yes.
Let's tap into that. Wherever those superpowers are, let's go where the superpowers are.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, they are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They are truly amazing.
Well, if they're under your leadership, there's no question.
But they want it. That's the thing. You can only give people so much, but they have to grab it and run with it.
There has to be a mutual accountability and there has to be willingness.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Carolyn. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And that is what's happening in the world of work, Aurora. We have some work to do, but together, wow, we can really make some inroads that are spectacular for each other. And when we start with each other, we empower our businesses to be spectacular. That's how it's got to start. Until next time, I want to thank the great team here at Aurora Cable TV Network who does an amazing job with the community, keeping us all informed. I say this every single time I have an opportunity because they work hard, they are smart, they are visionaries, and they know exactly what to do to keep you informed. And I thank them. Until next time. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Carol.